Hello everyone, so in this video I'm going to show you how to activate the collision behavior in the panel cloth operator in random flow. Okay, so first off I am going to add into the scene the collision object. So right here I'm going to go to the asset browser and use one of my cylinder models from Gumroad and Blender Market. There's also, I think, yeah, um, another version or a pack that is available in my Patreon. So we're going to use this one and cursor to world origin, selection to cursor keep offset. Okay, so the quality or the result of the collision is dependent on your geometry. So for example, if we use square, this part here is gonna have a different effects when it hits the object, kind of a weird collision effect. So okay, why did I subdivide it that way? Okay, just this much, and then I'm going to mark sharp this non-manifold edges. So with panel cloth, the mark sharp edges will be mark sharp boundary edges will not be pinned. So when I do this, so this is a good way of creating effects like hanging cloth or tents. You can also flip the normal of the source object in script and reverse the effect like that. So this will make it fall better on this direction. And since we're using a single mesh, we're going to use uniform mode. So just a single value, there's no randomization because we're only using a single mesh. And then bring it right here. And you can see that it's still trying to pin on the corner verts. We can disable that by click on this. Or disabling preserve corner pin. Okay. We can also remove the original mesh or the source mesh like that. So it will only delete the selected faces from the source mesh, but if all of the faces constitute the entire source mesh, then the source mesh will be removed. Okay. So to enable the collision, we need to select this is activated using multi-selection. So select the objects that you want as the collision objects first, then the last as the source mesh, because the last object selected in Blender is the active will be the active mesh and therefore will be our source mesh. So you can use the panel cloth and increase the subdivision to create the cloth, and then let go of the pin and activate collisions. And self collision means that um, it will collide on itself, or the cloth will collide on itself as it's waving around. Object collections will collide to the collision object you've set, and collide to source will, if possible, if it hits the source mesh or this one here, it will also activate the collision physics. But yeah, so these two activated most of the time. But if you don't want the cloud to collide to source, then disable this. Also disable the self collision if you don't want that. The self collision will add overhead, an additional overhead to the processing speed. So just be aware of that. But I think not too much. Okay, so big frames. So collision level to 5. subsurf level. So the subsurf is added after the panel cloth effect is produced. And then we can play around with the other settings here. Right, hold down, but we can bring it up using the, okay, then frames. So be sure to play around with the settings on a lower subdivision level to make the operation faster. But of course, adding more phases will have different effect on the simulation. So just be aware of that. Okay, we can use this one. So you can see here that this one, the corner area, has this kind of effect when shooting it on the cylinder. But I think this could also work. Object distance and object thickness, outer face thickness. There we go, just to get rid of the overlap. Okay, shade smooth, you can also shade smooth right here. Individual seed means if you're using randomization, then each section will have its own randomization result or random results instead of being uniform. Okay, so that is our cloth covering a cylinder, and we can get rid of the source object, and it's different result if the, okay, that's weird. Okay, so this the result will be all of the subdivision applied except for the subdivision modifier. You can still remove it. It's still a live modifier in the modifier stack. You can still remove it or not. Control Z. Okay, so let's try another topology, and this one will be, instead of a plane, we're going to use circle. Bring it up, scale it, sit. I thought it wasn't straight. So Control F G. So that will be grid fill. Control F G. Then we're going to align it to the axis, offset, and then simple blending. I'm going to try and offset to create a margin for the non-manifold area and select all the faces. And then again, we're going to select the collision object first and then the source mesh as the active object. The active object as the source mesh last. Okay. Final claw. Get back to some, okay, something like 10. Flip normals. Okay, nothing's happening. Okay, final claw, increase the subdivision, pin, and flip. Okay, nothing's happening on the flip normals. So we'll just have to manually flip this. Face orientation. So if it fails, just manually flip it. Flip. And the results of the random flow operators will appear on the blue side. Okay, and mark Sharp this, panel cloth. Okay, there we go. Increase the subdivision to something like 3. So by the way, you can use the arrow here to slowly add to the property value or drag. But when the operation is becoming slow, just avoid dragging and use what I'm doing, which is using hovering over the property value, then pressing Control, and then using the middle mouse button to roll up and down to change the value very slowly. So Blender will have time to process the script versus trying to drag it, because when you drag, each value will be processed, meaning that when you drag the value 17 to 21, you see the 21 bake frames immediately, but Blender is trying to catch up. It's trying to process 18, 19, 20, and 21 frames of the script. Okay, so let's say 0.2 mass. Let's try self collision. Just slowly bringing it down. There you go. So the bake frames is not fraction. I think it's integer. I hope I'm saying it right. I'm not particularly good at math. Rank is minus point 0.2. And gravity, let's try 5 or 2 or 1. Collision is for collision. I usually just go to 5 and nothing. Self distance. What is this? I think this is self collision. Okay, so 40 or manually enter a value. 30, 80, okay, 20, 20 it is, or 80, 20. How about a lower subdivision? No. Or a higher subdivision? No. Let's just go with 3. Okay, so this is our cloth. So um I think I've already shown this in a video, but for if you're for example, you're creating kind of like a bunch of tents, you can do this. X only faces, edges, and then this part here, we're going to convert. Oh, so with those edges selected, convert it to curve. Yeah. So clear the edges, and then here, panel cloth, flip. There we go. Oh my god. So 10, Why is it so bloated like that? Peanut shape. Okay, mark sharpness edges. So to create those tent effects. Okay. Panel cloth. Um, happening. Oh, the edges are still here. Okay, let's get rid of the edges. X edges. Fix the subdivision. Okay. So we have our tent kind of. So to drag and slow down the interval of the drag, press shift while dragging. Right there. This ring. You can remove the source mesh to get a better view and increase the subdivision. So for this, we're not doing collision, so just disable collision. Okay, so increasing the subsurf level. Trying to get rid of this wrinkles. You can also develop wrinkles using the noise, but the noise is not from the cloth simulation. It is from the subdivision of the source mesh. But you can use this to generate wrinkles if you want. So I added it here. Okay, so we have that. So, tent. Then after, you can just use Creative Flow to add a draw modifier, which is a solidify, and add an effect like that to create thickness. Um, you can put it on. You can then put the solidify below the subdivision to bring back the sharpness of the corners. Okay, or you can just leave it as a plane like that. So let's check the normals, face orientation. So for this, depending on the way that you want to create, you can also flip it. There we go. So the normals that are facing up or away from the mesh is in this direction. Then um, my favorite part of the simulation, which is the cylinder. So let's cursor to world origin. Let's add a cylinder. And this is my favorite part of the tool. Rotate it. And that is using panel cloth to use the simulation to hint at something inside an object using the cloth effect. Okay, so additional. So I'm going to use this area as the cloth. Um, I am adding additional topologies to it. Or you can, of course, just separate it or not. And then inside, so let's just separate it so I can hide it. Selection, hide, selection to cursor, selection to cursor. Oops, cursor to selected, I mean. I'm going to add a bunch of collision objects inside. But try not to go past this border here, the circle border. Um, Cylinder, rotate 90 degrees, give it some additional topology, and make it this as well. Bevel. Okay, so Alt H. So selecting all the objects inside plus this source mesh which we are going to transform into a cloth object. But we need it to be the active mesh. So if it is not the active mesh, just select it again. And then when it changes color, uh, that is different from the other selection, which is this is depending on the Blender theme that you are using. So with my version or the theme that I am using, the other selected objects are dark orange, and the active object is the light orange. Okay, everything selected, and simulate. And okay, remove faces if you want to see the effect. Object uh, collect collisions. Okay, and mass pressure rank is negative point one. That's the original. Pressure is two. Oh my god. Let's restore the operator defaults. Uniform object collisions, and then shrink and remove the faces. Set this to 5. Increase the subdivision. Wait, final clock. Increase the subdivision. It's not working. It's kind of odd. Okay. Seeing some. Okay, and increase the gravity. Letting the cloth fall down and follow the shape of the objects underneath, hopefully. So mass Shrink is point negative point two. Okay, there we go. And self collision. No, 40. Okay, that is really rough. Minus one or one. Oops, minus point two. There we go. It just five. I don't know why it went to 14. So the more subdivision, the more wrinkles. I guess we can get away with. Actually, I'm going to make the faces more evenly sized. There we go. Final cloth, no faces selected. Okay, final cloth and increase the subdivision. There we go. So uh, make sure that the final sizes are the face sizes are even to make the simulations look better. Ah, pwedeng bukas na kasi wala pa yung pera eh. Bukas na lang na. Sige, sige, sige. Wait, sorry about that. It's delivery. I actually ordered a bunch of flash gadgets for my photogrammetry setup. So yeah. So increase the subsurf level. There we go. We have our cloth that is following the contours of the objects inside. So for the rest of this, we can sculpt it to repair it. I think sculpt mode and press I for inflate. We're just gonna inflate. Oh my god, inflate this. Depends on the normal. There we go. Inflate. I'm using a mouse. Did you know that I sculpted creatures, organics before, but I'm too lazy to use the tablet and I'm just using the mouse. Kind of weird, but I did it. I would not advise it though because oh, the longer that you use the mouse, the more that your hand will hurt and it will have adverse effects on the feature. So you can also soften it and bring it back like that, or create your own creases or cloth detail. So once I transition into sculpting, I forgot all about. I transitioned into coding. For I forgot all about the. I basically didn't sculpt anymore because um, economy. There is no work for me in scope, so I just coded. Okay, go back to object mode, shade smooth. And there we go. Our After this, you can get rid of the internal objects if you want. Let's try and view the inside. There you go. You can uh, s- totally sleep here. Actually, you can use this to create like a hammock for a character. But I suggest you don't use a high risk character for the collision. Um, yeah, do not use very high risk objects for the collision. It will probably crash or freeze the operation. Low poly to mid res. That is your optimal object. Okay, so that is our final clock effect. So last is I'm going to show you about the crease behavior, the mark sharp behavior. In the terminal edges or the boundary edges, the mark sharp uh, edges, when you use final cloth, restore operation, form. So why did it? Oh my god, what the distance? The scale? Why is it doing there? Oh, what? With normals? Okay, so um, yeah, this it basically lets go of the cloth of the cloth pinning besides the corner verts, the sharp corner verts, and you can let it go using the uh, by disabling preserve corner pin or the pin. And if you don't have the mark sharp boundary edges, this is what you get. I think it's the is it the dynamic scale? No, it's not. It's just the simulation. Okay, so there you go. It sticks the vertices sticks to the boundary edges. And however, if you use the crease on the inside of the mesh, mark sharp, not crease, the mark sharp. If you mark sharp edges on the inside of the mesh, it will pinch the cloth on that area. Final cloth and increase the subdivision. There we go. It will pinch that, and it is clear sharp. It is different from the mark seam. With mark seam, it will split those areas instead of just pinching the geometry there. So they are split in that part. Okay, clear seam. So you can, of course, combine different effects using this control. I mean the mark sharp edges. Final cloth. So you can see that the cloth has it's not being pinned on these vertices here and is being pinched at the area of the uh, mark sharp edge inside the mesh. So let go of the pin, it will drop to the floor or towards the Z, which it considered as the ground considers as the ground. Serve corner pin, and as you can see, it lets go of the corner pins and behaves that way. So you can create a bunch of, well, you can create effects like this, curtains like that, and of course, clear sharp. If you mark sharp all the edges except for one, or mark sharp all the boundary edges except for one area, so mark sharp. Let's get rid of this. And final cloth. So you can see that it's close to print sheet. There we go. You can then accentuate the design using sculpting. Right? Fini. Some sort of level. So you can have something like that. When we flip the normal, there we go. So it kind of bulges on the other side. Yeah, so that's how you can um that's how those are the different behaviors of the cloud simulation based on object collection and the mark sharp edges. So there are other styles here. So split mode, as you can see, you can split the you can split the cloud detail using the seam, or you can split it using angle, which means the angle means for example here we have a sharp transition of an edge here, and panel cloth, we create the effect. Why is that? Store operator defaults. Okay, this is strange. um I will definitely take a look at of that for take a look on that of that. So split it by angle and you have that, and then you have run, because it's two different sets. You can use the random mode, so each of the split section will have a different result. So you can create the seed here. Oh, Enable the individual seed. Go ahead. There you go. Then I think this is being affected by the dynamic scale. I feel like it's being affected by that. So I might have to take a look on this. There you go. So and also you can split it using, of course, using the mark seam edges. Just scale this. So you can create partitions like this. Oh, it operates on quads. Sorry about that. So for example, you have a partition like that. Mark seam. Okay, so you have that. I don't know what the using the subdivision. So when they're separated, enable the individual seed. So each section will have a random result different from the other ones. Okay. And yeah, that's about sums up most of what the panel cloth can do. Um, there are of course other uses for this, but that will be for another demo video. So if you have any question, use the comment section below or the links in the description. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.